Alright, hello everyone and welcome to NFL Discussion. I'm your host and NFL enthusiast Dougie Doug. In today's episode I'm going to be discussing Sunday week 13 of the 2023 NFL season. On tap for this episode we have the afternoon slate featuring the Panthers versus Buccaneers, Browns versus Rams, and 49ers versus Eagles. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get right into the action. Starting with the Carolina Panthers, who earlier in the week had fired their head coach and now have an interim head coach, their special team coordinator, Chris Tabor. However, even with the new coach, they still achieve the same results. A team that experiences a mid-season head coaching change will go in one of two directions. Either the move will send a message, produce an artificial boost, and create improvements, or direction number two, the squad continues to spiral further into the abyss of a lost season. Last year, the Panthers found themselves in a similar situation with the head coach getting fired in the season and having an interim guy close out the year. That was Steve Wilkes as the interim last year. They achieved the former category, but this year, after Frank Wright's dismissal after only 11 games, well, they are now falling into the latter category. And Frank Wright's dismissal also signals a meddling owner and disappointment and lack of development of Bryce Young. The switch from Wright to interim coach Chris Tabor did nothing to improve the circumstances. The Panthers now sit at 1-11 after Sunday's loss to the Buccaneers and have been officially eliminated from playoff contention, the first team to be mathematically eliminated. I think we all knew this team was actually making the postseason early on, but it's all about the math, and the math has finally eliminated the Panthers. Young completed less than 50% of his passes in the game against the Buccaneers. Carolina is a runaway favorite for next year's number 1 overall draft pick, though as we all know they don't have that pick, as they traded it away to the Chicago Bears for that deal that gave them Bryce Young first overall. Technically, Carolina did have a chance in this game against the Buccaneers, but the offense never crossed the midfield on its final drive because Young threw an interception on 4th and 1. The play serves as an encapsulation of the entire season. The Panthers are just not a good football team. Their quarterback isn't making plays, and the season continues to be a complete wash. The Panthers are worse than they were a year ago. A top-notch hire is probably the only thing is absolutely necessary for this team if they want to maximize what it thinks it has in Young and whatever talent they bring into the mix. It will be interesting to see too if Frank Wright was the only guy that goes, or if maybe they take a look at the GM. Unlikely, but it's possible. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mike Evans cannot be stopped. They're in the Buccaneers victory over the Panthers. Mike Evans continued a historic streak that may never be matched, thus securing his status as one of the best wide receivers in NFL history. Evans caught 7 passes for 162 yards and a touchdown. In doing so, he eclipsed the 1,000-yard plateau once again. Tampa Bay's all-time leading receiver extended his NFL record streak by reaching 1,000 or more yards in 10 consecutive seasons to start his career. The streak also ranks second behind Jerry Rice's all-time record of 11 straight seasons with 1,000 yards. Evans is currently tied to Randy Moss for the second most 1,000-yard seasons ever. Historically, the numbers are great, but on-field reliability is critical for a franchise that needs stability. At 5-7, the Buccaneers are still very much alive in the NFL's worst division. However, plenty of major decisions are forthcoming at quarterback and regarding Evans' future. Whoever starts behind center in 2024 and beyond would benefit from Evans' continual presence. However, Evans is an independent free agent. His resume speaks for itself, and he may be looking for a new situation. It's vital for Tampa Bay to get the most out of Evans for however long he's on the team. You know, I'd hate to see him leave the Buccaneers. I always like it when players are able to close out their career with the team that they drafted them, but such is business. It doesn't always happen, and I would not be surprised if Evans decided to take his wares elsewhere, take his wares to a team that is a contender, which is what the Buccaneers are not. They got a lot of question marks going into the 2024 NFL, or going into the 2024 off season. It'll be very interesting to see how they answer that one, how they answer the quarterback question, the head coach question, and just other areas of the roster as well. You know, what do they address, what do they not address. So it wouldn't be surprising if he decided he doesn't want any more of that. Cleveland Browns. So Joe Flacco, well, he wasn't necessarily necessarily a solution for the Browns, but he wasn't really a problem either. And truth be told, he might be able to stabilize the quarterback position for this team the further along he gets in terms of learning the playbook. So Joe Flacco is the fourth starting quarterback for the Browns this season. It's clear the season hasn't quite gone as expected for the Browns, but Flacco's recent signing isn't a single first surrendered. It should be the opposite. At 7-5, the Browns are still firmly in contention for a postseason spot. The biggest thing holding them back at this point has been inconsistent quarterback play. At times, the position has performed well below NFL standards. But Flacco is an experienced veteran capable of making the correct pre-snap reads, knowing exactly where to go with the ball, and still throwing some darts. During Sunday's loss, Flacco threw for 244 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ultimately, everything fell apart at the end, including an underthrown interception. Even still, his performance was some of the best quarterback play Cleveland has received all year, and that's really all Cleveland needs if this team is to get the job done, or if the rest of the team does its job. Which it didn't on Sunday. The Browns defense has a habit of losing its bite at times. Yes, Myles Garrett is less than 100%, but Cleveland didn't sack Matthew Stafford once, so that's on the other pass rushers as well. It only generated 2 quarterback hits, the defense. To make matters worse, Amari Cooper is now on the concussion protocol, so injuries continue to take a massive toll on the Browns. Yet Cleveland is still right where it needs to be with a remaining schedule that features opponents with a combined 28-30 record. Flacco will get more comfortable as the weeks pass. As long as he provides a solid baseline, the Browns can still compete at a relatively high level. Will it get them into the postseason? Maybe. Will they go far in the postseason? Probably not. Los Angeles Rams. Shout out to Puka Nacua going over 1,000 yards on the season, and he has been a difference maker since he stepped onto an NFL field. The same talent was seen during his time with the BYU Cougars. However, injuries slowed his progression to the collegiate level and didn't allow the talented target to truly shine. The thought of nagging issues so Nacua hasn't been a major concern so far. However, he did lead the game against the Browns with injured ribs, looking to be in tremendous pain, and it would not have been surprising had he been ruled off of the game, but he refused to stay out and returned and continued to torch the Browns' talented defense, garnering 6 touches and creating 139 yards of offense. Those numbers don't even include the 45-yard play that got called back because of holding. With his 105 receiving yards on the day, Nacua crossed the 1,000-yard barrier, becoming the 6th player in the Super Bowl era to eclipse that mark in just 12 games. The Rams have a special talent in their first-year wide receiver. He would be the favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year if not for C.J. Stroud, but his ability to take punishment and continue to perform is vital for his long-term success, considering it was a knock during the draft cycle. So, has he reached that S tier? Most likely, I would say yeah, he's reached that S tier. San Francisco 49ers stake their claim as the best team in the NFL, and when you look at what the AFC's got going for it, I mean, do you really think the Dolphins can match up against the 49ers? What about the Ravens? Maybe, yeah, certainly not the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs can match, could the Chiefs match up against the 49ers? Could the Dolphins? Could the Ravens? Could the Jaguars? Those are your top 4 teams in the AFC. Think about those 4 teams against this 49ers team, and then think about the Philadelphia Eagles, who were 10-1, now 10-2. So move over Philadelphia, as the 49ers handled business in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as the Eagles the Eagles basically dared the best version of the Niners to show up, and they did. Granted, Kyle Shanahan's squad started off slow, trailing 6-0 going into the second quarter. From that point forward, though, the 49ers simply ran circles around the Eagles, outscoring them 42-13. Brock Purdy threw for 314 yards and 4 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey provided 133 yards in scrimmage. Deebo Samuel had 133 yards in scrimmage and 3 touchdowns. Kyle Shanahan had himself a game calling the offense. At 9-3, San Francisco is technically 1 game behind the Eagles in the standings, but does anyone still believe Philadelphia is a superior team to them at that point? Well, maybe Eagles fans, but still, you walk into Philadelphia and you beat this team. You might not be the number 1 seed, but I think to almost everybody, you're number 1. Philadelphia Eagles. So one loss is simply just a setback. Look at that game against the Jets. They lost that one, but they didn't spiral coming out of that one. The Eagles and 49ers also could very well meet again in the postseason. Despite Sunday's outcome, they're both good enough to find themselves facing each other when it truly matters. That's the beauty of the regular season. One game aberrations do occur. The Eagles weren't good enough on Sunday. They know that. While San Francisco deserves the utmost respect for its latest performance, the Eagles are still operating at a Super Bowl standard. Philadelphia should be able to expunge its current feelings, adjust, and come back swinging. The 49ers attacked Jalen Hurts and got his eyes looking down instead of keeping them up on the field to see how plays were developing. The Eagles staff can adjust by moving the pocket, changing up protections, and utilizing quick hitters and incorporating different usages of the quarterback position. The nice part about the regular season is that it's all about the counterpunch. The Eagles have been knocked down. It's about how they get back up and respond. This team is too good not to do so. So yeah, I think if there's one thing you can say about the Eagles, again, one loss is just a setback. They get knocked down, but they get right back up and they swing pretty hard. But next week's certainly going to be quite the challenge going into Dallas facing the Cowboys, a Cowboys team that I don't think has lost at home this season, and when they do play at home, they run circles around the competition. It might not be a blowout every single time, but they can put up points. And with that will conclude this episode of NFL Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below.